Let's break it from here because the sale is bad.
So my channel is more subscriber based, if you guys haven't noticed this. And what do I mean by that? Well, the things that I talk about are really more directly related to the guys that subscribe to the channel and kind of follow me, right? In other words, if you just run across this channel out of the blue, a lot of times you won't know what I'm talking about. As a YouTuber, as a creator, one of the hardest things for us to do probably is find content and find the best way to deliver that content, to deliver that message. Well, if you remember to do it, which is probably one of the other things. A lot of times I forget stuff. Sometimes I jot things down so that I don't forget it, but inevitably you're going to forget stuff. So a while back, whenever we swapped the transmission out in the car, it sat for like a month. I go to start the car up and it was just rolling smoke out of the back of it. It kind of smelled like gas, but I couldn't really tell. It was a bluish, blackish smoke. Every time you get on the car hard, it would just blow smoke out of it. So I got it back home and started looking over. I couldn't find anything, guys. Couldn't find any issues with it. I finally found the issue, and believe it or not, it was one of the craziest things I've ever seen. Now, this could happen on any car. This could happen on a Foxbody, anything like that, a GM truck. It really doesn't matter. Memphis is all with her stickers. I tell you, if you guys don't have little girls, you're missing out, because they are always putting stickers on everything. So I tell you what, I've been wanting to do this anyway. At the end of the video, if you guys would like to hear a little message that I've got, it's about family, it's about kids, stuff like that, just stay tuned to the end of the video and I'll cover it there. That way, I know a lot of people don't want to hear it, but I do have a little something I want to say. As always, I forget something, right? I was supposed to come out here and talk to you guys about this issue, what caused my car to smoke. But I get so scatterbrained, I get so turned around, a lot of times I just forget about it. So, if you guys are having an issue with your Foxbody, with your car smoking, and also your brakes kind of feel funny, check this out. On my car, what was happening, and you can see right here, what was happening on my car is the master cylinder, I guess the seal down here, I guess the seal went out, and it was allowing brake fluid to be sucked into the brake booster. Well, honestly, I think it'd been happening for a while, because the brakes always felt real soft, and you could fill the reservoir up with brake fluid, and then like 2 or 3 days later it'd be empty, but none of the wheels were leaking. I looked all around the car and I never could find a spot where anything was leaking, so I was like, where is this brake fluid going? There's another telltale sign, I guess. If you guys are losing brake fluid but you don't see it at any of your wheels or under the car or anything like that, you don't see any visible leaks, check right here. Another sign is back here. You can see where the paint is starting to come off and it's rusting. That's a good sign that your master cylinder is probably leaking too. Obviously what happened was the brake booster filled up with brake fluid and it sucked it back up through the PCV system. So it's like, imagine this, it's like when you put seafoam in a car or something like that. This is a lot of times the line that people will use right here, and they'll introduce it into the system this way. Well, what's happening is this thing was so full of fluid that it was just sucking it up through here. It was getting all over everything. I don't think it did any damage per se, but there's a good chance that the valves are really clean. The tops of the pistons are probably pretty clean. And this thing had a very unique smell to it though. That's the thing that kind of got me. It does smell like gas in a way, but at the same time, it's a little different. So I got brake fluid on me now. There's brake fluid all over everything. So what I did to verify, as you can see, this thing's rigged up over here with a bolt in it, but you got to do what you got to do, right? So I plugged the line with a bolt just to verify that was the issue. It took a good 10 minutes of driving the car to clear everything out of the system. Eventually, it stopped smoking, and I figured out that's what the problem was. But I will say this, it puddles up in your intake and everywhere else. So sometimes whenever you turn hard, brake fluid will run back down in there, you'll get like a puff of smoke come out of the car. So remember that, don't freak out if that's the case and you unplug it and it doesn't immediately stop. Give it a little while. So another question I'm sure you guys have is like, seriously, you drove the car with no brake booster? Well, yeah, you can do that. The brakes are not as easy, obviously, because you don't have the assistance of the booster here. But, you know, I got enough brakes where I can drive it down the road and test some things out. That's something else, you know, with these cars. Try things out, right? If you're already in a pinch and things are messed up, try some other things. Now, I wouldn't recommend unplugging your brake booster and driving the car to work or something like that. Really, you're not going to have very good brakes. So think about that, guys. So this is something I was completely unaware of. Like I tell you guys, we all live and learn, right? Every day I try to learn something new. Either I'm on YouTube trying to learn something new, or I learn something with these cars, or you guys share information with me. So pass this along. Check your car out. If you got a funny smell, smoke coming out of the tailpipes or out of your turn downs, or whatever the case may be, check it out, because that very well may be an issue. You know, sometimes we do smoke tests on our vehicles. If you guys have never seen it, I have what I call Mr. Fusion. All it is a smoke tester. I built it out of PVC pipe. I'll put a link right here or here, wherever it is. I'll show you guys how I built this thing. Essentially, all it does is pump smoke into the system, and you can check for vacuum leaks. The reason why I'm talking about this is, so obviously you're not going to be able to find a leak like this with one of these. So this will be a self-contained leak that's going to be really, really hard to find. I don't know of any way to really figure out what's going on in here unless you unplug this and figure out what it is. Like, introducing smoke into the system is not going to find the problem. But also, if you do make one of these, or you own one of these, every once in a while just come in and test the system, because you'd be surprised where leaks develop. I had a leak develop around my idle air control, and it was causing the car to not want to idle down. Simple fix. Took it back off, adjusted the gasket ever so slightly, tightened it back up, and it was good to go. So on these cars, there's a lot of little tricks and tips and things that you just learn along the way. So get out there, get after it, guys. Try some different things. Unplug sensors. Now, that's another thing you can do on these cars. If you're having an issue with your car, and say it's not running right, come out here, start the car up, unplug your mass air sensor, see if there's something wrong with it. If the engine doesn't change RPM or start to act a little different, then there might be a chance that it's bad. Now, I also recommend that you guys pull codes. That's one of the first things that everybody does, is pull codes on these cars. But at the same time, you might not have the ability to, so you can always just start unplugging sensors. I mean, that's a very rudimentary way of checking, but I have found so many problems over the years with that. Now, some sensors, when you unplug them, they're not going to do anything, so don't freak out. Do your little bit of research, and you can figure out what you can unplug and what you can't, and how the car changes. Also, I want to talk real quick about the wideband that we put in the car, because I mentioned it before, and I didn't really elaborate. But we have the Innovate wideband. As you guys can see, I mounted this thing really low in the car. You don't pay attention to my run channel molding that I've not done yet, but as you can see, it's really low down. You're not going to notice it. It doesn't stick out up here. I'm not a big gauge guy. I don't like gauges. You can see right here, it's really low. But if you guys are interested in which one that I used, so this kit comes with some little push pins. I think that's for you to install the pod, but I just put screws in it. A little bung right here for your sensor, if you don't already have it. What I did was just removed an oxygen sensor and put that in. And there's supposed to be, there's actually a little white face gauge cover in here. There it is. And also, this kit comes with the white face gauge, so you can put the silver ring with the white face gauge, or black face with the silver ring, vice versa. All that stuff's interchangeable. And it's the MTX-L plus stuff. So that's what we have, and that's what we will be using when we tune the car. So getting back to the issues of being a YouTuber and having content and finding out what to talk about, this is one of the things that I'm talking about. I have so many different things that we need to talk about. I can't make an entire video on what sensor I used, right? I can't make an entire video on check to make sure that your brake booster isn't leaking. So we tie a bunch of different things in. So that's why my videos are not specific, right? They're kind of vague, and only you guys really know what I'm talking about. Somebody else runs across this channel and they get their information within a minute and they're out, right? You guys hang around because you know me. We've built a relationship together. You guys, you just understand. So it's really more of a vlog style channel with some information sprinkled in here and there. All right, guys, so that's going to wrap this portion of the video up. I just wanted to share that with you. Maybe, hopefully, that helps some people. I probably had this issue years ago with some of my other cars that would always smoke and stuff like that, and I never could figure it out. That's probably what it was. Also, one other telltale sign of this is switch your car off and pump the brakes. If you hear any gurgling sound coming from, you know, the firewall or something like that, more than likely the master cylinder is leaking over into the brake booster, and you're kind of getting that gurgle sound. That was the first indication that I had an issue. Then once we drove the car down the road, it started to smoke, and I come back and I'm frantically, you know, looking around trying to figure out what's going on with it. And then I remembered, I was like, but I heard a gurgling sound. Well, ends up, that's the way I traced it back. Otherwise, I probably would have never known. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap this portion of the video up. Stay tuned to the end of the video if you'd like. Got a little message about kids and family and stuff like that. All right, guys, and as always, thanks for watching. All right, here we are. I want to talk a little bit about family, right? About kids and about how much this stuff means. You know, I always preach it, but what does it actually mean? Like, how does it tie in? Well, yesterday I was looking up the parts for the brake booster and the master cylinder and all that. Memphis was sitting in my lap, and she looked at my phone. She said, "Daddy, what's that?" And I said, "Well, baby, that's a master cylinder and a brake booster. It's what we got to have to fix the Calypso clone." She said, "Daddy, I want to see." I said, "Baby, it's right here." She said, "No, I want to see it on the car." I said, "Okay, cool." So I took her outside, didn't think much of it. Got her up on a little stool there, and I pointed it out. I said, "Okay, baby, that's the master cylinder, that's the brake booster." And she was all into it. She was into it way more than what I thought. She was really somewhat retaining it for her age, and I just thought it was so cool. As soon as Mama got home, she wanted to tell her, you know, about what she had learned and this and that. So the point is, guys, these are the memories that we're making right now that we're probably not even aware of. You know, we do things with our kids, and a lot of times we don't think anything of it, right? We just do it and we go on about our way, but it changes them. They remember things that a lot of times you wouldn't think they would. Another good example is this. So you guys have seen in my video all this little thing in the background over here, right? Well, I just did that like 4 years ago for Memphis. We would take pictures up there. I go out there, this thing's rotting away, right? The tree's kind of grown and it's just rotten. So I go out there today and I go to like tear this thing apart. Guys, I didn't think anything of it, but Memphis saw me do it and immediately started crying, and she was upset. I said, "Baby, what's wrong?" She said, "Daddy, you built that for me." I said, "Yes, baby, I did." I said, "But it's rotten, you know, it needs to come down." And she said, "No, but we used to take pictures on it." She said, "Daddy, please don't tear it down." I said, "Oh, Lord." So the point of this is something that doesn't really probably mean a lot to us means a lot to our kids, right? Spending time with me out here doing this. We've been outside just like cleaning up today. You know, we washed the golf cart, we washed the RC car over here. She wanted to run that. She loves running RC cars. So we took it out, we got it muddy, and then we come back and washed it, and just started cleaning on the garage. Well, she loves being out here and doing things like this. To us, it may not seem like a lot as adults, but if you think back when you were a kid, a lot of times, you know, probably a lot of us have memories like that. So it's just important to include our kids. That's all. I always mention this, and I know some of you don't have kids. That's why I put this at the end of the video. Like my neighbor's kid over here, he'll come over sometimes, and you know, while I'm blowing out the garage or something like that, you know, he'll want to kind of help or something. So if there's a niece or a nephew in your life, or just a friend, you know, spend time with them as you can. Teach them stuff and show them the importance of taking care of your stuff and how to work on things. I think it's really cool that Memphis is even into this at all. I mean, she's a girl. She's all girl, guys. She likes Barbie dolls and everything else, but she also loves what Daddy does. So I think that's really cool. Anyway, that's my little message for today. It may not mean that much to us as adults, but it probably means a lot more to our kids. Let's pay more attention to them. Make sure we're doing the right thing, spending time with them, because these things right here take up a lot of our time, a lot more time than probably we are aware of. So let's make sure that we're doing the right thing by our kids and our family, spending time with them. That way we can continue to do the things that we love with these cars. Because I can promise you, you spend too much time on these, and you could lose that. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up. And as always, thanks for watching. I don't know, where's it leaking at, baby? It's leaking down there.
Well,
Does that stick to it? So what's leaking though? Is that's leaking? Where's it leaking into? It's leaking into that? Oh, okay. Is that it? Is that the lesson for today? Are we done? No, we're not done.
I'm going to tell them how.
You don't remember? It's leaking from right here, remember? Because there's a seal in between there, and that seal's bad, so.
It's leaking from the heater because the seal is bad.
That's right. All right. You want to close the video out? Put your hand over it like Daddy does.